Don't let a new website break your search engine optimization and kill all of your organic traffic. Hi, I'm Steve Wiedemann, and in this video we're going to walk through a site upgrade checklist. Whether you're migrating to a new website, upgrading your current website with a new design, a new theme, a new content management system, this guide will help protect your search engine optimization. Bear with me, I've got a lot to go through. Let's get started. So we're going to talk about a pre-launch, launch, and post-launch checklist. Each of these are for the developers who are building out this new website and the project managers who are making sure that those developers stay accountable to these lists. And of course, the most important thing that we're doing here is just making sure we're not losing traffic from Google and Bing and other websites. This is so important, and it can be the smallest thing that kills the traffic. It could be something as easy as a meta tag that got left on the pages. It could be something as simple as a file called the robots.txt file that blocks the new website from being crawled. All these little things can happen. We've seen them happen, and they can cost your business millions of dollars. All right, so here's our pre-launch checklist. First thing we want to do is discuss the fastest route to getting our site deployed. And every web developer has their own system. Maybe I'm going to deploy everything locally on my computer and then give everyone an IP address or something that they can use to access it. Maybe I'm going to create it on a staging environment or a UAT URL or something where it's not off the main website. Maybe they're just going to use the main website and sort of fake their computer to believe that they're actually on the domain, but it's really on an IP address. There's so many ways that developers will stage a website. So it's up to you how you do it. If you want to do with a new web server, if you're doing it with a new web server, if you want to do it kind of in a local manner where you're telling your computer that when you go to this IP address, you're going to that URL, that's probably the easiest way, especially if you're a WordPress website, because then all you have to do is go into your registrar and change the IP address from the current web server to the new web server, and everything goes live. It's a really quick, easy way to launch a website, especially if you have a small one. If you have a larger website, it gets a little bit more complicated. But for small websites, it's a very simple way to deploy. So again, create the domain on staging. You can create it as a subdomain, or potentially have it as its own website. First thing we want to do, and this happens so often, is make sure on the staging environment that we block the search engines from accessing the staging URLs. There's nothing worse than somebody performing a search for your company and them finding a site that isn't completed in the search results. So all we have to do is add 2 little rows of text to a file off the root of our website called the robots.txt file. And this is simply to block all the search engines from accessing that staging environment. Very simple and takes less than 5 minutes. Let's also make sure we verified our access to Google Search Console and Bing Webmaster tools. Why do we care about Bing? Well, Bing sort of powers the search behind ChatGPT and a lot of other technology, so we want to make sure we're paying attention to Bing as well as Google. Let's make sure that we own the access to the domain version of our site. They're going to give you 2 options. Do you want www, or do you want anything www or prefix or subdomain, etc.? We want the everything. We want the domain level access. Let's make sure we have our rollback plan in place. As a business owner, ask your developer, what's our rollback plan? We roll this website out and it's broken and it's not working. Full panic. What do we do? Well, let's flick a switch and roll back. And that's why I like that IP address process. If you just simply have the server already set up with the domain, even though your registrar isn't pointing to it, you can build the whole website ready to go, and all you have to do is switch a set of numbers and you can switch it back in seconds. It's my favorite. So backing up the existing XML sitemap is important. It's a really quick thing to do. Just go to yoursite.com/sitemap.xml. If you have one, it'll be there. Make a copy of it. Create a server instance backup. So basically go to your web host and say, hey, can you make a backup of my entire website right now in case I need to roll it back? They'll do that. It'll be date stamped and you should be ready to go. Update any of your name server records to the new server. Again, just making sure that you've got all of your name server records in case the developer goes in and just wipes them all out. It's always a good idea to back them up once a quarter, just so that you know where you're pointing your email, where you're pointing all those different subdomains that you have. Running your quality assurance and checking for errors. Roll back, after the site gets launched. Again, this is kind of like an example rollback plan. I like to prioritize a list of URLs. What are the most important pages on your website? What are the pages that drive the most business to your web presence? And you can do it by looking at your Google Analytics, sorting by revenue, and making sure, or leads, and making sure those pages are the most priority, because those are the ones that we're going to check first during this site upgrade. Always do it by importance. You might even do it by inbound links if you're not tracking revenue, or your site is more of a content site, not really one that's made for leads and so forth. So it might do it by which pages drive the most links to the website. There's a tool called Write. It's kind of an enterprise level crawl tool. Write was recently acquired by SEMrush, SEMrush, and they've moved it into their intelligence platform, which is basically the exact same tool as Write. You can check it out. There's also some other tools that you can run if you have a smaller website, such as Screaming Frog SEO Spider. There's another tool called Siteliner. There's multiple crawl tools that are available to you, but my favorite is still Write, or now SEMrush Intelligence. And what we'll do is, pre-launch, we'll run that crawl just to get an idea of, on the staging environment, that there's no other crawl errors happening. We fix all the issues before they even go live. It makes our life so much easier, and nobody goes into a full panic at the launch. So run that crawl tool, look for broken links, look for crawl errors, look for pages that take forever to load, and optimize the content to make sure it loads quickly. Test performance issues. So you can use Lighthouse for this. You can use webpagetest.org for this. You could use both. I like to do a before and after, because that way I can challenge the dev team to make sure the new website's optimized better than the old website in terms of page load and speed times. So a great way to create a baseline and then run a delta later and say, hey, this new website loads at half the speed. And that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Let's verify the following before we go live. Let's run some tests, maybe even do some focus groups, and make sure that everyone who's using that staging environment has a good experience. They know what to do immediately. There's no friction. They're not having to think for a prolonged period of time about what they should be doing. Their eyes gravitate directly toward what we want them to focus on. Aesthetics and overall page experience is important. Mobile friendliness. This is not just set people up in front of a laptop. Let's get them on their phones and being able to use different important pages on our website with their phone. Watch their foreheads. Are they wrinkled? Are they concentrating too much? Or is it just, super easy, right? Pay attention to those cues, because that'll tell you whether or not your users are having a great experience. The more of these tests you run, the more confidence you'll have when you launch that you're launching with a better experience. Let's make sure our headings get transferred to staging. It seems like an obvious one, but so many times what'll happen, maybe a new WordPress theme is being developed, and the main heading tag that tells the search engines and the users what this page is about gets removed, and it becomes maybe a subheading, or maybe it becomes, a span tag or something. Really important to make sure that those heading tags, as well as some other attributes that we'll talk about, get moved, so that we don't lose out on any of the historical data. We want the search engines to see the same titles and headings and content that they used to see before the site was upgraded or moved to a different website. Let's create our list of redirects. I can't tell you how many businesses lost money. I can tell you one automobile franchise went live with a new responsive website, and they didn't redirect their mobile subdomain when they did this upgrade to have just a one site versus two mobile and desktop sites. And they lost so much traffic from search, particularly from mobile searchers, because they forgot to redirect the old URL to its new respective URL. Now, if you redirect and think, hey, I'll just redirect everything on the old website to the home page of the new website, well, guess what? The home page isn't the same content as the old page was, and Google treats that as a soft 404 error. In other words, any value that you were getting from that old page is gone. So let's make sure that we're redirecting one-to-one, our old page to our new page. And the best way to do that is a hard 301 permanent redirect. If the web developers use a 302 temporary redirect, you're telling search engines in the browser that this page, this redirect is temporary. Don't update your index with the new page. Keep the old page in your index because it's temporary. We don't want that. We want that 301. Let's verify our HTML titles and descriptions get transferred. Literally last week, we saw a website go live with a new client that just signed up with us, and the same week it says, oh, by the way, I'm launching a new website. Launches his new website, and all the titles and meta descriptions are gone. He had to go back to archive.org with his developer and copy and paste some 50 different, luckily he only had 50 pages, 50 different pages of titles and meta descriptions so that Google knew that those pages were just as identical as they were before the new website was launched. So I can't even explain how many times this happens, but it does. Let's make sure whatever migration tool we're using that all the metadata gets transferred from the old website to the new website. And if you're moving from a WordPress to a Drupal, or Drupal to a WordPress, or a WordPress to a Sitecore, let's make sure we're using whatever extensions, plugins, or our own custom programming to be able to make sure we get that data transferred. Open graph tags. So these are things that allow Facebook users to see a customized, tailored experience. In a lot of cases, people who are writing content, writers, authors, publishers who are creating content will customize information, titles, and descriptions that are meant to appear in Facebook. And if they don't get transferred over, then the experience now sucks for people who are viewing that content on social. So both the Open Graph and, if there is any, potentially the Twitter card, or for X, they're still calling it the Twitter card at the moment, but they should just call it the X card. Two different types of metadata for social media. Let's get our new XML sitemap ready. If we're using a plugin or extension for our website, it should do this automatically for us. Let's just make sure it's good to go. Let's take that XML sitemap off the staging environment. Let's run it through these crawl tools. Let's indicate in the configuration of those crawl tools to ignore the robots.txt file that we're disallowing because we want it to be able to crawl the staging site, and test for any errors. Let's run that XML through and make sure there's no problems. If we're using a video XML, which I do recommend using, it's an opportunity for us to put more descriptive words and topics and keywords into another file that can be consumed by search engines. If you have that video, let's just make sure that that's prepared and ready to go and has no errors as well. If we're addressing multiple languages and using different pages for people who speak different languages or in different countries, we might actually have an href lang tag and or use an XML sitemap that points the search engines to those different URLs. Let's make sure that that's ready to go and is the same or better than what it was on the old website. Let's also get a list of some of those deep links that are coming in. You could use a href to find this, and basically you're going to look at all the links that are coming into the website. This is really important, especially if the URLs are going to change. Perhaps you're going from some old system to a new system, and the .html extension on your pages is now going away. All those URLs are going to break. So if we can get a list of all the websites that are linking to us as a quick fast follow when we go live, we can get those folks to update their links to point to the correct page. But hopefully we're going to have redirects in place anyway. But again, a direct link is much more efficient and can potentially pass more of Google's voting PageRank power without having that extra redirect. Make sure you pause those ads, not just the pay-per-click ones, but every ad that you have coming into the current website. Let's make sure it's paused during this launch so that nothing breaks and it doesn't affect your ad rank and quality scores. Pause those campaigns before you go live. All right, so we're ready. We've prepped. We've got everything ready for our launch. We've got everything backed up. We've got our rollback plan. We've got our XMLs cleared. We've done our usability testing. Everything's ready to go. Let's launch the website. I suggest taking the websites offline during off hours Look at your web traffic. You'd be surprised sometimes of when those off hours are. Find when that off hour block of time is. Sometimes it tends to be on a Sunday night, usually Sunday evenings, somewhere between 8 and 9 p.m. until 5 or 6 in the morning. That gives you plenty of time, to fix any bugs immediately after a launch. So here's kind of that example. Look at where that time is and when users are going to likely hit your website, and find the time that's the least traffic. Let's update our robots.txt file. We went live, yay! Let's remove that disallow, and let's make sure that we're indicating exactly where and declaring exactly where that XML sitemap is. Or if we're using the lang and the video, let's add those as well, so that the search engines know when they hit this robots.txt file what they should be crawling. And let's remove that slash in the disallow so that the search engines can crawl the website. This is one that could be make it or break it for you. So do make sure that this is the first thing you do when you go live. Next, we'll go into Google Analytics and Tag Manager. Let's get that Tag Manager code, make sure it's loaded. Let's test it. So let's go out there and use that testing tool and make sure that it's connected, and boom, our Google Analytics is there. Otherwise, you're going to go live and look back a week later and go, what happened to all of our traffic? Oh, we forgot to put our analytics in and all the other tags that we had coming in from our Tag Manager. This is another one that happens all the time. Let's make sure that this is loaded up at the time of launch. Another thing we see happen quite a bit is that the staging URLs still appear in images and other files and scripts, and it's not really harmful out the gate, but over the course of time, at some point the developer is going to take that staging environment down, and all of those images and all those script files are going to break your website. So let's make sure that those are up to date and actually pointing to the live full URL, not the staging environment. Let's run our SEMrush or our right crawler, or both if we're using the SEMrush intelligence tool, and make sure that there's no crawl errors at launch. Let's look for crawl errors, let's look for redirects, anything that we need to update to make sure that search engines, bots, web crawlers are all having a great experience, and no indexing issues. Let's manually check the search results to make sure with those top pages that we took, those important money-making pages. Let's go to the Google search results. Let's look for those pages. Let's click them and make sure that they're live on the new URL. You might have to clear your browser cache. That's okay. It takes 2 seconds. But let's make sure those important pages right away are appearing with no issues. Submit the new XML sitemap. So go out to your Google Search Console, your Bing Webmaster tools, delete the old XML sitemap that's in there and submit a new one so it creates a fresh crawl. And now the search engine is going to recrawl the website and look at all those new URLs with a fresh set of eyes. I still suggest having a focus group, 5, 6, 10 people. There's plenty of usability tools online that you could use as well. Usertesting.com, I think it might be one of them. And it can be a little expensive, but it's worthwhile to take the time to get that fresh set of eyes on the website and make sure everyone's having a great experience. Let's test the performance now. Before and after, we did our baseline. Let's run our delta. Hopefully, with any luck, we'll see our old website was slow and clunky, and our new website is in the green and looking fantastic. Let's look at those HTML titles and descriptions one more time. We know they were on the staging environment. We made sure they got ported over. Now we're making sure they got ported over to the live website. All the titles, descriptions, and headings are all there the way that they should be, and exactly how they were, because you created a backup and you have something to compare against. Let's double check that our SSL is squared away. If we move to a different host, sometimes the SSL can make our website very clunky for users. They'll get all these warnings and it's just not a great experience. Let's make sure it is on the www and as secure as possible. SSL Labs is a great tool that you can use to test with, and it's free. Site's launched. All right, now we have some things we have to do after the site's launched. Right, we got our tags squared away. Everything's working how it should be. Everything was ported over correctly. The site can be crawled, and we crawled it to verify and to make sure there's no errors. Post-launch, here's some things that we're going to do. Let's update those PPC ads and other ads that we have going online to make sure that they are pointing to the new URLs. This could affect a real short period of time in ad reviews. It can happen. That's okay. Just wait it out and everything should go back to normal when the search engines have figured out that these pages are the same as they used to be. They just happen to be on a different URL. Oh, same thing. Don't forget the site extensions. Sometimes, we've got those site extensions set up and we forget, we update the ad but not the extensions, and the extensions are still going to the old pages. Unpause those ads. Let's get them back up and running. I like kind of promoting a new website when it goes live. I like to do a press release and say X brand launches new website. After all that usability testing, give it a day or two, make sure everything's clear, all the cache is cleared out and everything's working as expected. You're looking at the analytics and revenue and leads are holding steady. Let's run a press release now just to let the world know there's a new website and get some new eyeballs on our site and a little bit more brand awareness. Let's get those links up to date that we made a backup of from Ahrefs earlier and go out and say, hey, thanks so much for linking to us, by the way, and mentioning us. We just relaunched our website and a lot of our pages have changed. If you could you just quickly update where your link is pointing to so that it points to the correct page? We'll have redirects in place for a while, but we don't know how long they're going to be up there, and we'd rather just have you point to the, the correct URL. Submit to design contests. Great way, again, build more brand credibility. If this is a new website and it's rocking and people love it and you've got, a really clean experience and thought about user experience and UX and conversion, you could win some awards. We won awards with Web Excellence folks for the study that we did in this huge infographic. It's a great way to get the word out. Sometimes you even get some links in this process, some new links that Google will crawl and kind of give you a jump start on the new website. I'd recommended Cloudflare earlier. I'm going to bring that one up again. It can really help with page speed, helps with security, and can help with the delivery of your content. Instead of having to bounce across the country, they can get that content just by reaching up into the cloud and getting it from the nearest cloud server. So Cloudflare is a great tool that you can use. There are other ones out there, AWS, and do your research based on the size of your website. You might choose a different platform. For most websites, Cloudflare is sufficient. And that wraps it up. This was our last slide. This is the pre-launch, launch, and post-launch checklist for a site upgrade or a move to a new domain. I hope you found this helpful. If you like this kind of content, I encourage you to subscribe. Look for me anywhere online as SEO Steve. I'm all over the place and always sharing everything that I've learned in the last 28 years in search. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed recording it. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.